Whispers from the Old Home. Chapter 1. The Old Willow House. I still remember the day my parents told us they were getting a divorce. The feeling of my world shattering into a million pieces as we sat in the living room, surrounded by boxes and empty walls that once held laughter and love. Emma and I exchanged a worried glance. 20 years old, and already our family was crumbling apart. The thought of spending the summer alone with each other was daunting enough without the added burden of inheriting our grandparents' old house, a relic from another time. The creaky Victorian had been vacant for as long as we could remember, its once manicured lawn overgrown and weeds choking the foundation. Yet, here we were, drawn back by some twisted form of nostalgia. As we unpacked, dust motes danced in fading sunlight filtering through grimy windows. The air was thick with an eerie silence that hung heavy like a forgotten secret. Emma moved from room to room, her footsteps muffled on the aged carpet. I trailed behind, fingers tracing the walls as if hoping to find solace in their chilliness. Each step echoed with memories long past, whispers of laughter and love lingering in every corner. Our grandparents' absence was palpable, a void that swelled with each echo of our footfalls. Emma paused at a door I'd never seen before. It blended seamlessly into the wall's floral pattern. "Hey, look at this," she called out softly. Her voice trembled slightly. I approached cautiously and found her standing on tiptoes, pushing against the concealed handle. It creaked open with effort, revealing an attic space time forgot. Trunks, moth-eaten clothing, and old photographs littered the floor. In a corner, amidst the cobwebs, Emma pulled out a journal bound in faded leather. The cover bore our family's crest, a symbol of intertwined hearts entwined with oak leaves. Her eyes met mine, wide with curiosity. We sat cross-legged on dusty trunks, and she flipped open the cover. The ink was elegant yet erratic, penned by hands that trembled with urgency. Each entry bore a date, starting decades ago. February 14th, 1947. Today, Father left without so much as a goodbye. Mother's tears fell onto my handkerchief, mingling with the first snowflakes of winter. How did love crumble to this? I dream of their embrace every night, begging it to return. Tears prickled at the corners of Emma's eyes. I could feel her pain through our shared childhood memories. "Mary," she whispered, breath catching in an unspoken understanding. Our great-grandmother had been a name passed down and lost with time, but her stories were etched into myth. Tales of love, loss, and heartache, spoken as if they were our own. As the moon dipped below the horizon, casting the attic into shadow, we reluctantly closed the diary, promising to resume reading come dawn. We retired to adjacent rooms, dreams haunted by the echoes of whispers carried on the night breeze. In the morning light, Emma was ensnared, devouring each entry with an insatiable hunger. I couldn't shake the feeling that Mary's words wove themselves into our lives. With every new discovery, a lost love named James, a child taken before her time by influenza, and the inexplicable disappearance of their youngest daughter during the storm, reality began to unravel. Shadows shifted in corners. Doors creaked on their own. "Emma," I called out, but she didn't respond. Stepping into her room, I found the diary open on her bed, pages fluttering like ghostly confessions. The last entry spoke of a final tragedy, Mary's disappearance during another tempest. Outside, clouds swirled ominously, as if listening to the tales within those yellowed pages. Emma emerged with haunted eyes. "It ends abruptly," she said, like nothing was resolved. She looked at me gravely and whispered, "I think we should keep reading." Chapter 2. Whispers in the Walls. Night fell, casting eerie silences across the rooms below. A distant storm raged on outside as Emma settled in her bed with Mary's diary, the wind rustling pages she never turned. My own slumber was fitful, plagued by visions of a child screaming in darkness and rain pounding against the panes like furious fists. Morning light illuminated our faces pale with sleeplessness. Not from the house, but from what we'd unearthed. Emma's eyes had taken on an otherworldly intensity as she recounted each entry, her voice trembling with every betrayal, love letter read aloud, and tragic loss detailed within. The diary beckoned us to delve deeper, drawing me in against my will. Our hands moved synchronously over the pages until nightfall, and a storm that threatened to engulf our fragile connection with Mary's spirit. Shadows skittered at the edges of our vision while we read. Whispers echoed from the walls. Hushed confessions, pleas for love, and tormented dreams. I could no longer ignore them. The attic door creaked as if someone had entered, but remained shut. Heart pounding in my chest, I approached it cautiously. Cobwebs snagged at my shirt. Inside, Emma stood hunched over the desk, illuminated only by a single flickering bulb. Mary's words hung heavy between us. Her love for James seared from the pages like fire. "Emma." A gust swept through the attic, extinguishing the light. We stood there in darkness, listening intently. The whispers grew louder than ever before, speaking names we'd never known and longings that were not our own. Shadows coalesced into dark silhouettes, twisting around us. I grabbed her arm. Together, we fled down steep stairs, slamming the attic door shut behind us. Morning sun struggled to penetrate through grimy windows as we sat huddled on opposite sides of the kitchen table. Emma read aloud, Mary's voice merging with ours until it felt like an invasion. Each word spoken with a life of its own, carrying secrets of loss and longing. Shadows moved across the walls now, twisting into malevolent forms. The whispers intensified. I sensed presence beyond the thin partition between past and present. Then there was no light at all. The storm outside subsided. Darkness embraced us like an old friend. The attic door creaked open once more, beckoning me back to Mary's secrets. In the attic, her voice merged with our own in a chant of longing and loneliness. Shadows morphed into something unmistakable. A woman with sunken eyes that watched us from the corner of the room, ethereal and timeless. Emma's breath hitched as I spun around. A gust swept through once more, extinguishing what little remained of the light. "We have to tell them," she whispered urgently in the blackness. I nodded. Our voices merged with Mary's, the chant resounding through time, entwining us. Outside, the storm raged anew. With a shiver, we closed the diary, and for an instant, the house was still. Chapter 3. The Haunting Truth. The sun broke over the horizon, casting eerie light on the attic. The woman in shadows had vanished, but whispers persisted, an ominous murmur that seeped into our dreams, blurring past with present. Each day brought new discoveries. A hidden room where Mary's stories came alive in photographs and trinkets from another era, their silence more unsettling than the cacophony of yesterday's confessions. James' letters, penned amidst anguish and longing, spoke of love that spanned worlds. Storms lashed against the house with a ferocity we'd never witnessed before, as if trying to reclaim Mary. In hushed tones, Emma read aloud. I followed her into Mary's final days, desperate pleas on pages and in air, the woman from shadows now tangible, watching us with eyes that pleaded for understanding. The door slammed shut. We cowered amidst the debris of forgotten memories as the storm raged outside. The attic a crucible where past and present collided. And then silence. Mary was free to tell her tale of love, loss, and the tempest that took her from them all too soon. In the quiet, I knew we were no longer readers but inheritors of those stories. Shadows had us in their grasp now. We emerged, faces gaunt, with tales of love and betrayal inked on our souls. The house felt lighter, its secrets absorbed. Mary was gone, leaving her legacy to two hearts still entangled in hers. It was time to tell them, the storm having washed away some veil that kept her here all these years. Embracing the night once more, we descended into a room where our own stories began with Mary's.